All right, that is Professor Atahiru Jega. He's coming out from the meeting. He's had a long meeting with the national commissioners and other top INEC officials with regards to 2015 general elections. He's about to brief the press, who have been anxiously waiting to hear from him, keeping vigil since morning.
Gentlemen of the press, as stated earlier, we must start by apologizing for commencing this press conference much later than was anticipated. Please accept our apologies, and I'm sure thank you all for waiting so patiently. We will commence with the prepared text from the Commission, read by the Honorable Chairman. So can we settle down? Honorable Chairman, International Council, Professor Atahiru Jega. Chairman, sir.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen of the media, I want to join in apologizing to all of you for keeping you waiting for such a long time. It's been a very busy day for us, but I'm glad we can now address you. We have invited you here today to make known the position of the Independent National Electoral Commission on the timetable for the 2015 general elections. Let me state from the outset that the Commission's position was reached after carefully weighing the suggestions from briefings held with different stakeholders in the electoral process. The conduct of elections in a country like Nigeria is a collective venture that involves not just the election management body, but also a diverse range of stakeholders, notably political parties, their candidates, voters, security agencies, as well as interest groups such as the civil society organizations and the media. To guarantee successful conduct of elections, there are things that are wholly the responsibility of an election management body. But there are other things critical for the success of elections which fall outside the control of an election management body. In other words, while INEC must work hard to perfect its systems and processes for conducting elections, and take responsibility for any imperfections thereof, whatever the Commission does may not by itself be sufficient to guarantee the success of an election. There are a number of issues in the preparation and conduct of an election, the most critical of which is security, which is not under the control of INEC. Current state of INEC's preparedness. On Thursday, February 5th, 2015, I was invited to brief the National Council of State, which is the highest advisory body to the President, comprising past and present leaders in Nigeria, on the level of preparedness of INEC to conduct the 2015 general elections. I made a presentation to the Council of States titled Preparations for the 2015 General Elections Progress Report, in which I gave a detailed account of what the Commission has been doing in readiness for the national elections, National Assembly and Presidential, scheduled for the 14th of February, and the state elections, Governorship and State Assembly, scheduled for February 28, 2015. The summary of my presentation to the National Council of State meeting is that for matters under the control of INEC, INEC is substantially ready for the general elections as scheduled, despite discernible challenges being encountered with some of its processes, like the collection of the permanent voters' cards by registered members of the public. In addition, INEC has been doing everything it can to facilitate the collection of the PVCs by registered members of the public. And as at 5th February 2015, the total number of PVCs collected was 45,829,808, representing 66.58% of the total number of registered voters. In the delivery and deployment of election materials, INEC is also at a comfort level in its readiness for the general elections as scheduled. The Commission's preparations are not yet perfect or fully accomplished, but our level of preparedness, despite a few challenges, is sufficient to conduct free, fair, and credible elections as scheduled on February 14th and 28th. Compared with 2011, when within a short time we conducted general elections that were universally adjudged free, fair, and credible, and the best in Nigeria's recent history, our processes are today better refined, more robust, and therefore capable of delivering even better elections. But as I mentioned earlier, there are some other variables equally crucial for successful conduct of the 2015 general elections that are outside the control of INEC. One important variable is security for the elections. While the Commission has a very good working relationship with all security agencies, especially on the platform of the Interagency Consultative Committee on Election Security since its inception in 2010, it has become pertinent for it to seriously consider the security advisory presented to it by the security and the intelligence services. I would like to reiterate here that INEC is an election management body and not a security agency. It relies on security services to provide a safe environment for personnel, voters, election observers, and the election materials to conduct elections wherever it deploys. Where the security services strongly advise otherwise, it would be unconscionable of the Commission to deploy personnel and call voters out in such a situation. Last Wednesday, which was a day before the Council of State meeting, the Office of the National Security Advisor wrote a letter to the Commission drawing attention to recent developments in the 4 northeast states of Borno, Yobe, Adamawa, and Gombe, currently experiencing the challenge of insurgency. The letter stated that security could not be guaranteed during the proposed period in February for the general elections. This advisory was reinforced at the Council of State meeting on Thursday, where the National Security Advisor and all the service chiefs unanimously reiterated that the safety and security of our operations cannot be guaranteed, and that the security services needed at least 6 weeks within which to conclude a major military operation against the insurgency in the northeast, and that during this operation, the military will be concentrating its attention in the theater of operations, such that they may not be able to provide the traditional support they render to the police and other agencies during elections. INEC's decision. We have done wide-ranging consultation to enable us to have as much input as is necessary before taking an informed decision. In the series of consultations that we held with stakeholders, the questions constantly posed to them for consideration are: 1. In view of the latest development, should INEC proceed with the conduct of the general elections as scheduled in spite of this strong advice? And if so, what alternative security arrangements are available to be put in place? 2, or should INEC take the advice and adjust the schedules of the general elections within the framework of the constitutional provisions? The Commission held a meeting after these consultations and decided to take the advice of the security chiefs and adjust the dates of the elections. We have done this relying on Section 26, subsection 1 of the Electoral Act as amended, which states as follows. Where a date has been appointed for the holding of an election, and there is reason to believe that a serious breach of the peace is likely to occur if the election is proceeded with on that date, or it is impossible to conduct the elections as a result of natural disasters or other emergencies, the Commission may postpone the election and shall, in respect of the area or areas concerned, appoint another date for the holding of the postponed elections, provided that such reason for postponement is cogent and verifiable. INEC, not being a security agency that could by itself guarantee protection for personnel and materials, as well as voters during elections or even observers, the Commission cannot lightly waive off the advice by the nation's security chiefs. The Commission is specifically concerned about the security of our ad hoc staff, the young men and women of the NYSC and students of tertiary education, who constitute at least 600,000 young men and women that we are going to use for this election. Together with our regular staff, not to talk of voters, election observers, as well as election materials, which have been painstakingly acquired over the last 1.5 years. This concern is limited not just to the areas in the northeast part of Nigeria experiencing insurgency, the risk of deploying young men and women and calling people to exercise their democratic rights in a situation where their security cannot be guaranteed is a most enormous responsibility. Under such circumstances, we believe that few election management bodies across the world, if any, would contemplate proceeding with the elections as scheduled under these circumstances. No matter the extent of INEC's preparedness, therefore, if the security of personnel, voters, election observers, and election materials cannot be guaranteed, the life of innocent young men and women, as well as prospects for free, fair, credible, and peaceful elections would be greatly jeopardized. Consequently, the Commission has decided to reschedule the 2015 general elections thus. The national elections, i.e. Presidential and National Assembly, are now to hold on March 28, 2015. While the state elections, governorship and state assembly, are to hold on April 11, 2015. It should be noted that this rescheduling falls within the constitutional framework for the conduct of the elections, notably Section 76, subsection 2, Section 116, subsection 2, Section 132, subsection 2, and Section 178, subsection 2. See also Section 25 of the Electoral Act 2010 as amended. For the avoidance of doubt, we will under no circumstances as a Commission approve an arrangement that is not in line with the provisions of our laws. Our hope is that with this rescheduling, the security services will do their best to ensure that the security environment needed for safe and peaceful conduct of the 2015 elections is rapidly put in place. We in INEC reassure all Nigerians and indeed the international community of our commitment to do everything within the law and to conduct free, fair, credible, and peaceful elections. We call on the security agencies to honor their commitment to restore sufficient normalcy for elections to take place within the period of extension. We also call on Nigerians, political parties, candidates, and all other stakeholders to accept this decision in good faith and ensure the maintenance of peace. As for us in INEC, we will endeavor to use the period of the extension to keep on perfecting our systems and processes for the conduct of the best elections in Nigeria's history. In particular, we believe that we would resolve all outstanding issues related to non-collection of PVCs, which currently agitate the minds of many Nigerians. Finally, we wish to call on all Nigerians to accept our decision, which is taken in good faith and in the best interest of deepening democracy in our country. Thank you very much.